Hey guys, how's it going? This is Cute Fuzzy Weasel. You know what really sucks? Making a vlog like 2 months ago saying that in the following couple of weeks I would be super active because I assumed that the things I was doing would die down and I would have more time to do this. And then, you know, I put that vlog up and then so much more shit happens and I become more busy now than I have in like the last 5 years. But I'm really sorry I haven't been as active as I really should have. I know you guys deserve more content than this. So to make it up to you, I'm gonna do the next couple of Feeding the Trolls pretty much back to back, and I'm gonna do 2 of my most requested trolls. This week, we're gonna do, who is it? Can you play it again so I... Oh, fuck. It's time to Feed the Trolls. Season 5. We're gonna go camping, and you're gonna watch.
Man, I love the moon.
Despite the fact that the divorce was really messy.
Would you say the moon is masculine or feminine?
I would say it's a rock. I mean, it ain't got no dick on it. But can you imagine if the moon had a huge moon penis? Do you think that would affect the tides?
Tide goes in, tide goes out. You can't explain that.
Spiritually speaking, I've most often heard that it embodies female energy.
Why? And if we're gonna really buy into this new agey crap, why would the moon embody female energy? The place is fucking dead. I thought female energy was like embodying life and whatever crap. This ain't female. This is quite clearly male. I mean, that's what my soul looks like.
Me too, but we have Mother Nature full of life and creation. Wouldn't the moon be the father?
No. Look, really, if I'm gonna be entirely honest with you, the moon's the peeping Tom of the situation. I mean, one side's always facing Earth. It watches you at night when you're sleeping. It's worse than Santa Claus.
Yeah, you might think so. However, our celestial father is most definitely the sun. It's because of our father above.
The fuck is that? What is that? It's like a rainbow-headed weird person fish.
And our mother below that allows all of this life to exist. The moon is actually neither, which makes me think it must be more like a cousin. But perhaps what's more curious about old Lady Luna is that her existence has actually never been explained by modern science.
Got all kinds of theories about...
Who needs science to explain things?
Right. I mean, I know you don't.
Given the very obvious hole in your head, I wouldn't expect you to care much about anything.
But isn't it interesting that using science we can build nuclear weapons?
And cures for diseases? And make better food? And send rockets to the fucking moon? Oh, but please, do just focus on the negative, because science never did anything good.
But cannot even explain this most ancient entity that floats at our doorstep?
We got all kinds of theories.
What's stranger? The moon is actually far too big to be a natural satellite of the Earth.
No, it's not. Titan's way bigger.
If I'm not mistaken, there is not a single other planet in our solar system whose moon compares in ratio to our own Earth-Moon ratio.
And?
Our moon is actually larger than Pluto.
So? A lot of shit's bigger than Pluto.
The current leading theory in science is that something like a Mars-sized planet-like rock came out of nowhere and hit the Earth.
Would have been way bigger than that, trust me. When 2 planets get to banging, you want to stay away, you know what I mean, dog? Yeah, I'm white.
And then it became the moon. And when those physics didn't work out, they came up with a new theory that said that the same planet-like rock-like thing hits the planet, bounces around, and then hits it again.
Yeah, it didn't work out because it didn't explain the rotation, so they said the object crashed and kind of like pushed everything.
And then becomes the moon.
Or he just banged a bunch of rocks together, sure.
Needless to say, the physics still didn't work.
You know, that's not what scientists do to test their shit. We got these things called supercomputers. They're really good at simulations.
Well, what the hell? Is there more?
With this guy? Fuck yeah! You guys could be talking about water heaters and he'd come up with some bullshit. Water heaters are cylindrical. Now, if we take the cylinder and we turn it like this, and then we can create a circle around where the cylinders go. This is called the phi ratio of cylindrical blah, blah, blah. This perfectly explains why the lizard men control the government.
Well, now that you ask, have you ever heard anything about it being hollow?
So, the moon being a result of a planetoid collision early on in the formation of our own world that created a debris ring that coalesced into the moon. And by the way, we can know that because the rocks on the moon match the composition of rocks on Earth. And we know that because there's not a whole lot of erosion on the moon, so a lot of the rocks up there are super fucking old. But no, that's not believable at all. That's full of fucking holes. No, the moon is instead fucking hollow. Just ignore how that wouldn't work for, like, gravity or anything.
Hollow?
Yeah, I've got the details somewhere here.
What should I bring along for my camping trip with my friend who had a hole drilled in his head? How about a flint starter? No. How about a lighter? No. A tent? No. I know! I'll bring some literature on why the moon is hollow. That'll help us out in the wilderness!
Let's see. Here it is. In November of 1969, NASA crashed a lunar module into the moon, causing the equivalent of 1 ton of TNT. NASA said that the moon reverberated like a gong for half an hour.
No, it didn't.
Then they did it again, causing an impact of 11.5 tons of TNT, and it rang like a bell for over 4 hours.
2 things. 1, no it didn't, and 2, sound can't propagate in space. It's not like the scientists went outside and went, oh yeah, it's still ringing. Yes, it's hollow, just like our own planet. Isn't that right, Professor Lizardton? Yeah, I'm a lizard and I control everything. Grrr. All right, I'm gonna go home now.
It vibrated in a way as if it were hollowed out, with giant hydraulic damper struts inside of it.
The moon being a result of a natural collision by 2 bodies early on in the formation of the solar system? No! It's much more likely that it's a giant hollow sphere with giant big gears and bullshit inside.
Wowsy wheezy.
Shut up!
Want to know something else?
Always.
The surface of the moon contains minerals like titanium, but also processed metals like brass and mica. It also contains something called uranium-236 and neptunium, which are both minerals that have never been found to occur naturally. Uranium-236 is a long-lived nuclear waste that appears in spent nuclear fuel. And neptunium is a radioactive byproduct of nuclear reactors when plutonium is being created.
So I couldn't find anywhere that said the moon had brass on it, but I can tell you some of those unstable radioactive elements are caused by cosmic rays being rained down on the moon by our sun. You know, our heavenly Father. See, the moon doesn't have no atmosphere. Okay, actually, the moon does have an atmosphere. It's very thin, but it does have a very, very, very thin atmosphere. But anyway, the moon ain't got no atmosphere, so when those cosmic rays hit the rocks, they're able to change their composition. That's like super simplified, but yeah, that's what it is. Sorry, this isn't a science channel.
This means that at least some of the rocks on the moon are most likely synthetic. And while it's only a theory, I wouldn't say it's illogical to come to the conclusion that it could be artificially created.
That's not a theory. That's a hypothesis. Actually, that's barely a hypothesis.
That's really intense.
Anyway, I seriously have a hole in my head. Can you please get me to a doctor?
Also, you know the craters on the moon?
Intimately.
Well, craters should vary in depth due to the size and impact of the various space rocks that hit them, right? We can tell that there was a difference in the meteor sizes that hit the moon by the diameters of each crater. And yet, how come all of them, across the board, are the same depth?
No, they're not. Here are 2 different craters on the moon of differing depths. Oh, but I'm sorry, they're the same depth because the moon was hollow when it was created by the ancient aliens in order to help the human race survive a catastrophe when we lost our ability to create a Merkaba. You see, when the Jews came from outer space, they attracted the ancient Martians, which came from their homeworld through teleportation.
Mother of God. An impenetrable shell.
I would not feel comfortable spending any amount of time out in the wild with this guy.
Look at that quote from a NASA scientist. It's easier to explain the non-existence of the moon than to explain its existence.
I can take quotes out of context, too.
Here's another one. The best explanation for the moon is observational error. The moon does not exist.
Check it out.
Oh, here. Read this part here.
David Icke's research led him to shaman around the world.
Ha! David Icke does research. That's funny.
Zulu tribes speak of the moon being an egg.
Early impact theory? No. It's a giant chicken egg.
They symbolize it to be an egg for good reason. The ancient African and Sumerian legends talk of two brothers, Wawan and Mpanku.
If these are ancient African and Sumerian legends, then why are the two brothers white?
That emptied out the yolk and rolled the moon across the sky to the earth and caused cataclysmic events hundreds of generations before our time.
They were kind of dicks that way.
I'm not sure how it fits.
But god damn it, we're gonna get this ice pick into that guy's skull somehow.
But this says here that the rocks on the moon are older than the Earth itself.
No, but they are pretty fucking old because, no erosion.
Heavens. You know, I think I've only ever seen one side of the moon. I wonder why it doesn't spin like other planets.
It's because it's tidally locked.
That's a good question.
It's tidally locked.
On that topic too, have you ever noticed that the size and position of the moon is exactly in the right place to create a perfect solar eclipse?
No, it isn't. You can see the sun around an edge of a normal eclipse, and it doesn't eclipse the whole Earth. That's why when there is a lunar eclipse, you have to be in a special place and time to see it. Coincidentally, this is why I've never seen a solar eclipse. Fucking North Carolina cloud cover.
That's so intense.
Learn some more words, damn it!
You know, the moon actually holds the Earth in a sideways tilt.
Well, the action of it going around the Earth kinda does.
If we didn't have the moon, we wouldn't have the same length of days or nights, or experience the 4 seasons like we do. It also intimately controls the tides.
Holy shit! You actually said some stuff that's kind of factual. Well done, man.
You're right. And just like the tides, it even bends the water in our bodies.
Never mind.
That's why on nights of the full moon, there's always an increase of violent crimes.
Source, please.
And probably passionate love.
Because waterbenders know how to get it on.
It used to be a legal defense to say that one was moonstruck.
It also used to be a legal defense that someone was a witch.
Do you think these things were deliberately introduced to the Earth? Maybe for a purpose?
It's a possibility.
Shit, here comes the big leap.
What do you think that purpose could be?
Well, they say that the beings who put it there were trying to bring a new frequency to the planet.
Who are they? And how come they didn't just use a boombox? You can introduce a lot of new frequencies with the boombox.
Or maybe even provide us with some sort of resonation or gravitational wave that was vital for our survival. I've read that the Earth isn't even in the right place in the solar system anymore.
Yeah, but every time you put something in the right place, when you go and look for it, you can't find it.
The story goes that at one point, the Earth used to exist between Mars and Jupiter.
Where it was too cold for any life to exist and everything died. The end.
And may have even been slightly larger than it is today. But it was hit.
Which caused a cataclysmic impact event and killed all life on the planet. The end.
And it flew off course, creating the asteroid belt, which is mostly frozen water and rock debris, and wound up in a new orbit, right here.
If the Earth was where the asteroid belt is now, wouldn't our orbit dip into the asteroid belt? I mean, if we were hit, like, into a different configuration, I mean, it wouldn't just automatically become this orbit. It would, it'd be like a real fucking oval. I mean, this is not even remotely to scale. It would look way different.
But because of the impact of what happened, this planet was going to die.
No, the planet was dead. A body sufficient in size to knock Earth out of an orbit would be sufficient in size to pretty much scorch the entire surface and kill all life everywhere pretty quick, like within a few minutes.
And it needed some help to keep it spinning and keep its orbit proper. And thus, the moon was put there by some advanced alien race or a higher form of consciousness.
Impact theory? Pfft, no, aliens.
Who saw it as a requirement for the planet's survival. Maybe even our own survival.
Oh, and they resurrected everybody from the dead because, an impact of that size would have killed everyone. But first, they made it so everyone wasn't dead from them being frozen to death from being out where the asteroid belt is.
Which would explain why the Earth-to-Moon ratio is found within the human energy field.
You see, the energy field by water heaters is very significant.
Then, events such as the falling of Atlantis and rising back to consciousness could take place under circumstances that otherwise couldn't have happened.
The water heater to phi to human ratio is why we can have events such as James and the Giant Peach and Ghostbusters.
That's really amazing.
All the shit that I'm seeing on this acid.
Wait, did you say that the human geometries match the Earth and the Moon ratio?
Hey, I think you're really gonna love this.
It's my geometry porn.
In Drimbleau's Flower of Life books, he shows these drawings here. As you can see, this is the egg of life,
As you can see, this is the water heater of life.
mapped over Leonardo da Vinci's Canon of Man, along with a proportionate 8x8 grid.
It's gotta be made proportionate, otherwise it wouldn't be proportionate. But as you can see, the water heater's feet were right over this picture of a Christmas tree. Connection? I think so.
Around the egg of life, you see 2 rings. This is the zona pellucida, the membrane around the structure.
Around this figure, you can see some garbage that I put there. This is the zone of garbage. It's very important.
Okay, so I get that those things are important sacred geometry that are connected somehow, but I don't see the
No,
link
don't
here.
touch your brain!
It's okay, we're just getting started.
Yeah, we go way deeper down the rabbit hole, trust me.
First, we have to identify the male and female side of the equation.
As you can see, one side of this water heater is female, as you can tell by its boobies.
On the top level, you have a circle and a square. They fractal down to the 8 physical spheres and the 8x8 grid of squares.
On the top level, there is a pineapple. This translates into 3 dimensions.
See how you can draw a circle that fits perfectly inside of these circles? And you'll get a circle that's just slightly smaller than the 4 squares put together?
That doesn't make it special, that means there's 4 points.
It just so happens to also fit perfectly around the edge, balancing between the inner circles and the outer larger circle.
If we divide these water heaters in half and use the male water heaters as denoted by this top hat, we can see that they fit perfectly around the edge of the circle that I made to make them fit perfectly.
Now, if we take the 4 squares and use them as a measure, we can create a new
I'm gonna go
circle,
get something
slightly
to eat. I'll
larger
be
than
right
the smaller
back.
one we just drew. If we move it to the top, it pushes out beyond the inner circle a little bit, and what we're left with is the inner and outer edge of the zona pellucida.
And if we take the water heater from the center that's the male water heater and we put it on the edge with the other water heaters and we create a new circle around that water heater, we create the zone of pellucida.
And a delineation of the human energy field. This is the location of the 13th chakra, by the way,
I was wondering what the fuck that was.
at the very top of our energy field above our head. Now, nobody knows where this next part I'm about to show you actually comes from.
Which means it's entirely trustworthy.
The earliest source, Lawrence Blair, claims that he got it from older work,
Which means he totally didn't make it up to try and sell books.
but using the tip of the zona pellucida as a radial point between it and the square
Hey, wasn't the Vitruvian Man supposed to be inside that circle?
to create a new sphere. This then delineates the field of the 13th chakra. The ratio between this new sphere and a sphere based off of this square,
That comes out of his dick.
the physical form of the Earth, is the exact same ratio as that of the Earth and the Moon.
Thus proving that if you do enough math and draw enough shapes, you can make a correlation between anything.
You'll also notice, too, that the zona pellucida has actually merged with the square around the body
Which doesn't mean anything, we just think it looks neat.
and planet to create the phi ratio. It's a bridge to a higher consciousness.
So saith the ruler of Bethos.
Whoa.
I think a bug just flew into that guy's brain hole. He should really see a doctor.
So what's the importance of these numbers?
In the circle and square diagram, to create the phi ratio, the circumference of a circle must be equal to the perimeter of a square. When you calculate the perimeter of the square that would be around the physical Earth, it comes to 31,680 miles, which is the diameter of the Earth times 4.
Thus showing that the moon is hollow.
To get the circle around the Earth is a little bit more tricky because you have the moon's involvement. You have to imagine the moon is perfectly placed against the Earth without going into it at all. Then we take the diameter of the Earth and the diameter of the moon, add them together, and multiply by pi.
Then we subtract by 1, multiply by 2, add 3 and p on it.
It comes out at 31,667.
Holy crap, they're almost the exact same numbers.
But they're not the exact same number, so...
Exactly. There's a 13-mile difference, but 13 miles is nothing when you consider that the ocean rises nearly 27 miles around the equator.
And water bends in human bodies when they have sex during a full moon. And also the moon is an egg, but full of hydraulic pistons.
So what does all of this mean to us, Mr. Patch?
What does it mean? What does it mean?
Let me very quickly pull something out of my ass. See, the brain bug tried to get into his head, but he couldn't because he doesn't have a hole drilled into the center of his head. This is a good practice for you guys to not do. Don't drill holes in your head.
I guess it means that the moon is not just this random satellite that has nothing to do with us. It's there for a reason, for a chance. A chance that we might just make the most important decision that we've ever made as a species, and create together a new way of life on this planet.
We must come together as a human race and build a giant ocean flower. That'll solve our problems!
It's up to the collective, to all of mankind.
But specifically purple-haired white people.
Do we choose love? Or do we choose chaos and war?
Or it's a rock.
Maybe a little bit of both from the looks of it right now. But times are changing. This isn't the old world anymore.
So the moon is a hollow egg full of engine parts that was put there to show us that we have to choose between floating, disembodied hearts and mushroom clouds.
It's now a matter of survival and collaboration.
And believing any bullshit conspiracy theory that you run across because you're really, really naive.
The moon appears to offer us the opportunity to change,
Or it's a rock.
to become aware, to grow.
He got disintegrated!
But it won't make the decision for us. That's up to us.
Everybody's a tree. I knew I'd do it.
Okay, you've officially blown my mind hole clean off.
Blown my mind hole clean off.
This seems to be evidence of a long-lost secret that has to do with our evolution.
What?
I wonder if we will realize this mystery in this lifetime.
Well, you won't. Not with that gaping hole in the middle of your damn head.
Either way, I still love the moon, man.
Even if the child support's really high.
Me too. Want some beans?
More than anything ever, Mr. Patch. Anything ever.
His enthusiasm's funny until you realize that the hole that was drilled into his head took out part of his brain that was like his long-term memory. So to him, he hasn't had beans in like years, even though he ate some 4 minutes ago. This is Cute Fuzzy Weasel. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and all that other stuff that everybody says at the end of their YouTube videos when their YouTube videos are over. Don't forget to worship the giant egg engine moon, and as always, have a good day.